Hey guys, so I wanted to give you a little review on my Esker Japhy and talk to you a little bit about why I chose this bike and some of my initial impressions. And to me, I purposely built this up as a single speed, and I do believe in the 29er kind of mid plus the 2.6, 2.8 inch tires for 29er. I guess you could go 3 in the front if you have the right fork, but the back is meant to go up to 2.8. And why I got this bike and how I feel about it. So I had the Hayduke, as you guys could know from my old videos, and I fell in love with Esker with their steel frames. They just do an amazing job of sourcing and putting together really nice geo and really light feeling, really just that good steel feel of a steel frame. I've had several other steel frames. I still have them. I have a Niner Sur 9, and I've had other titanium frames, Titus and 7, and of course titanium is very expensive. So why not try to get that same kind of feel with a little bit more weight out of a steel frame? So that's what I bought the Japhy for. I knew I wasn't going to be able to put a dropper post and put a fork on my 7 Sola and without changing up the geometry and everything like that. So I ended up getting this bike and building it up with a lot of parts bins. As you can see, I have my parts bins and wheels. So my initial impressions of it, and first let me go into a little bit of the design and why I chose to go with a Japhy for this. I could have maybe got some Kona, or I could have got a Salza or something like that. I really like these dropouts and how the brakes are in here. I think that's just a cleaner look. I like that look, especially when you're going with a single speed to where you just don't want to have anything out there. Now, this single speed dropout still has a derailleur hanger, which, it's not my favorite thing to have there, but at least it's still this portage style thing that I can't, pretty much like Salsa has on theirs. Surly does theirs a little bit differently, but those were the steel frames I was looking at, and I chose to go with this one. I like the way that it's shaped here, and I knew I didn't need to have super wide stays for 275 plus because I was just going to go with a 29er single speed. 275 plus single speed to me is going to be a little bit more difficult to climb on steep climbs, and that's all I have here. When I ride my single speed, it's a steep climb followed by a steep descent, and where I don't have to pedal, so that's why I kind of like it. I get my workout in, and then I have my fun. So my initial impressions of it is it's really has a great geo for tight switchbacks and for leaning into turns. To me, this frame geometry, they hit it out of the park. I'm not one that needs a super steep C-tube angle, and I feel fine with that. As a matter of fact, if you look at my saddle, I even have it pushed back a little bit more. So I didn't mind that it didn't have some of the more modern, super steep C-tube angle, and it's a hardtail. So how steep do you need to make a C-tube angle for climbing on a hardtail? Because a hardtail already climbs really nice. I think the head tube angle was perfectly slacked out enough. It pairs up really nice with the 51 offset fork. I've never been one to use the 46 or 44 offset forks. I kind of like that the fork out in front of me. I feel a little more confidence going super fast on really steep, like drop down type descents with the fork out at a 51 on a 29er. Some people like them push back more. It's kind of up to you. It really has enough clearance for a 2.8, but this is a 2.5, and so that fits in there a little bit better. But I'm not going into like muddy conditions, so I could go bigger. But if you're someone who rides a lot of mud, you might want to consider sticking with the 2.5 instead of 2.6 on this bike. The way it's the bottom bracket sits pretty low, so it's kind of nice. It gives you that kind of that low, slung feeling that makes it easier for going around corners. Now I'm always clipped in, but I can clip out really easily, and so the clipped in feel with me and doing my switchbacks clipped in feels great on this bike, especially if you guys are on flats and you really like to take it low in the corners. You might feel it's better. I have a 175 crank because, like I said, this is a parts bin, and so these were some old cranks I had, and I mean they're super light, really nice cranks. Why wouldn't I use them? So those ones are 175, but if you feel like you're going to be pushing the envelope on going around corners, you might want to do 170s, but 175 works great for me. And then I like having a bigger crank, 175 for a 29er anyway, for a single speed. So, this came together pretty well. About the only thing I was thinking I would change is the handlebars to get a little bit more of a rise, because these are flat handlebars. I did that again because it's parts bin. I wanted to use my NV handlebars, but with a better rise on handlebars, it would have made that the stack height a little bit nicer, a little bit closer to how the stack height is on this. If you notice, these are flat bars also, but this bike has a higher stack height. So I'm not sure exactly what Esker did to create the different stack heights on the Hayduk and the Japhy, but this also has a 130 millimeter fork, and this has a 120. So that's going to offset it by 10 millimeters right there. So as you can see, I like to run big wheels. These are 35 internal with millimeter rims, and I mean this came out really smoking light because it's a single speed. If you're going to build up a geared version of this Japhy, you can lighten it up probably with a carbon wheel set. That would be my only suggestion to get it into the same ballpark as the weight of this one is. I haven't weighed it. I need to get a scale, but once I weigh it, I'll post up a video of my bike weights. I want to weigh all my bikes. This one is pretty heavy. Of course, it's got the heavier handlebars and some other heavier parts. Everything else is, the fork is slightly heavier, the cranks are slightly heavier. They both have XT brakes. So the saddle might be a little bit heavier. Other than that, I think they're pretty, the build is pretty similar. This just came out lighter. I think this frame, the Japhy frame is about 1/4 pound lighter, so you're gonna get a lighter frame. And I think mostly because with the Esker Hayduk frame, you have the super wide stays, and so that's more material to make them super wide like that. And so that's gonna add a little bit of weight. So this is a really nice lightweight steel frame. I just think you get such bang for your buck. You get a really nice steel frame, which to get a nice steel frame that's not overbuilt. And what I mean by overbuilt is it seems like a lot of these companies like Kona and Salza and Spot. Well, Spot does carbon now, but they used to do steel. Who's the other one? Salza and Surly. Surly does a nice steel frame, the Karate Monkey. But when you get into these big frame manufacturers like that, they tend to overbuild things a little bit more just because of warranty probably. Whereas Esker went out on a limb and went with this manufacturer to build these frames for them. They're imported like everybody else's frames. And I think they had them push the envelope to make something a little bit lighter. And that's why it gets that real nice springy feel. So that's the one thing I noticed about this bike when I built it up. It has a really, really nice springy feel. If you're a person that likes that pump track feeling and likes to push into the corners and kind of push and pre-launch into your little rock jumps and stuff like that, something playful, then this is a good choice for you. If you're someone looking for lightweight and you're just going to keep your bike on the ground and you're not really playful with your bike, go ahead and just get an aluminum frame or if you got the money, get a carbon frame. It's going to be stiffer, it's going to be lighter, and it's be more purposeful to race and to have that super lightweight build. As you can tell, my builds are on the light side, but they're not super lightweight. I'll never do narrow rims. I don't do anything less than 30 millimeter rims. I think some guys are still running like 26 or 27 internal width rims, and they're running, and then they're doing carbon rims with these 26, 27 internal width, and that's going to be a real light rim, but to me, it's not going to make the profile of the tire nice, and I like to run bigger tires. I don't even run anything below 2.4, 2.5 tires, and that's usually just a rear. So, like I said, my bikes are built more for being playful and on the playful side. So anyway, I hope that's some good information for you guys. Feel free to make some comments, ask more questions. I'll put together another video and address that, to give you some close-up angles on some of the parts maybe you're considering, or some of the frame details. I'm happy to do that. I have a small channel and I have the time to do that. Talk to you guys later.